we're good. We're recording.
I would like to call the
5.3.
May 23rd meeting. The Culver Redevelopment Commission to order. And I'd like to remind everybody present, and if there's anyone online, that the meeting is being recorded on Microsoft Teams, and participation in the meeting is your consent. Be recorded, and we have the rebroadcast of the recorded meeting. The meeting is available, posted on the town hall YouTube site. There, take roll.
Absolutely. Ms. Monroe. Here. Ms. James is absent. Ms. Jones present. Ms. Ricciardi.
Here.
Mr. Oosterbaum.
Here.
And Ms. Schuman.
Here.
In pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the April 25th, 2024 meeting.
Move to approve minutes.
Jenny, make motion. Do I have a second? Yeah, right, yes.
All seconds.
All out of chair.
Yeah, motion and second, and since Marty is online, guess we have to do a roll call vote.
Who did that, Matt?
I think because he's visibly present, we wouldn't have to.
Yeah, he is visibly present. We're a lot
Yeah.
of times present. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is financial report. You all got a copy of that, right?
Yes.
Yes, it did open. Computers were evil. We had beginning balance at 456,660.03 and ending balance of 425,765.22. We have a few expenditures this month. Have a motion approved. Are there any questions about the financials? Have a motion to approving.
So moved.
Second. I second.
A second.
Also. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Should pass names. The old business I'll let.
Yours truly. Good evening.
Yeah,
For the record, with the Dunes report, we've had some encouraging follow-up. We were moving into the Plan Commission meeting on Tuesday night for the comprehensive plan and the plan and subdivisions for the Dunes. While we were working through some numbers, it became apparent talking with Scott Seipel and Midwestern Engineering that it would behoove us to maybe spend some more time looking at that detention area. There was nothing flawed, but we're hitting that with a fine-tooth comb, so to say, if I can use that expression. Because of its proximity to wetlands, there's an existing flood zone in the north, and we're being hypersensitive about that area. We have to. We can't afford to. We want to ensure that when the project goes, that the town does not have to come back in and look at engineering. I say when, because we are anticipating it. We have to engineer it as if it's going to happen. We can't wait to assume anything on the backside of this. So when I talk with Mr. Seipel, I assume I have a project that is coming online in 2 years, and I have to make sure that project is ready to go with no assumptions. So that's, if you're wondering why I say when, that is why. Things are very positive. We were also during a work session asked by the Plan Commission to vet the ordinances, the setbacks within that, and the condo regime. We did that with Sean Cerisi. Everything is within compliance. The setbacks on average are 18 feet and the eaves. In a previous meeting 2 months ago, the Planning Commission did indeed look, or the Plan Commission did indeed look at that. Utility vehicles and emergency vehicles can move through there with little difficulty. So we did, I'd made the Plan Commission aware of that as well. We have given a hard date of next Friday for the engineers with the Culver Equities. That would be Chris. And I communicated that with Burke Richardson, that I have to have a singular hydraulic plan in place for the storm in the hands of Midwestern. There seems to be no issue with that, and there was good communication today. So that's where we're at on the dunes. You're welcome.
Since you have the
I do.
claims, I don't.
Be very gentle with me. I'm learning how to do this in the absence of Karen, the understudy for Karen tonight. We're looking at the first claim with Troyer Group. It comes to a total of 27,1986. That was from May, I do believe, yeah, it's April 26, excuse me. I think I have a second voucher 28872, another claims for 1986, and that is for a group. I have Town and Post, an $800 on account for appropriation from TIF 1, I believe, accounts payable voucher. And then I do believe I have a CRC funding request. It is itemized. I'm not quite sure what the total amount on this is. 2024 request total is 40,775 for all 7 projects. And 5 events.
What their total request.
Okay,
Yeah, and the claim would be 800.
it's the claim. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks for clarifying that. I'm just,
They pay by monthly or
okay,
every 2 months.
okay.
So,
And that-
so what you've got, Kevin, is the.
I see it.
The 27,1986 is the total, with 800 of that being the Town Post Network and the rest being.
Fantastic. Thank you for translating that. This is why they don't let me play with money around here. I'm going to I submit that for your approval and consideration.
So moved.
We got a so moved in a second.
Favor of approval of claims. Aye.
Aye.
Approval passed unanimously. New business with the discussion of the Main Street organization and small business support. I think because Eric is not able and Marty's online rather than in the building, that may get postponed until our next meeting. Will be postponed until our next meeting. Next item on the agenda actually is public input. Is there any public input?
Any questions, anything?
Any questions?
Day was good.
School's out. Oh, wait, that's not public.
There you go.
Any member input?
No, I brought to Marty's attention for probably part of that Main Street discussion once we get to that, the idea of a new program for encouraging new business on Main Street. I'm trying to find, so we're not totally recreating the wheel. I thought for sure Zionsville or Westfield would have a program like it, but what I had in mind was something that would pair well with our facade program, but would allow a startup business potentially some funding for, let's say, 3 months of rent or equipment, sort of like we do a tax abatement now, but something that would allow them to apply for a maximum amount of funds from the CRC. Not necessarily the microloan program that runs through MCEDC, which I think is probably still in play because
It is.
that money expires. That's a low interest type of
Yeah.
loan for a startup business, or they can consolidate debt if they want type of thing. But I'm thinking more like something that, for that business owner who's on the fence or, but also I think we'd have to have some guidelines around how to set that up because I know someone who wants to open a new business on our main street. Great concept, great idea, has run this business out in Washington. But some of the rents she's getting quoted on our main street are just like well beyond what I would have guessed. And I knew rents were going up, but I mean like tripled in the last 3 years kind of rents. So I don't know that we would automatically want to qualify, you know, a landlord wanting 3 times what they wanted 3 years ago for rent. We have to really think through some of this and figure out legal guidelines, maybe talk to Barnes and Thornburg. I'm sure there are programs like it already in the state under statute that function that we could look at. I just haven't been able to find any yet where I was expecting to find some. But the idea being we've got a lot of empty storefronts and how do we help launch perhaps a new business or even allow an expansion on a business where they might need funds to, you know, purchase equipment or something along those lines. So like when Cafe Max expanded into that second space and added the bar, when Mark Moore expanded Lake House Grill, the outdoor area, I know some of that was covered under our facade grant,
Right.
but I'm just starting to think about how do we, as an organization and municipalities, support filling some of these empty storefronts. And the other side of that is, do we need to look at potentially purchasing an empty storefront and doing something? Because we're legally allowed to do that. We have a lot more flexibility than the town does.
It's
But so some of the things I'm trying to do some homework on to see what might already exist out there. And I thought I still belong to some of the Main Street Okra stuff, like connect with them through their social media programs. And I go to their conferences, but this is not something I've seen yet, but I know it's out there, so. I just wanted to bring it up as we need to give it some serious consideration and maybe add another program to what we're doing now.
Do we have anybody coming up for facade grants?
There was some interest from one owner, but I haven't heard
Got it.
anything. But a couple of notes and still haven't heard anything. It could be that they saw the price of what they wanted to do and
Yeah.
had a little sticker shock or something. Because, well, remodeling, like a lot of other prices, has gone up considerably. The price of what you're purchasing and remodel with is up.
I'm surprised the rent's so high. It's so many empty.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you would think it would be more competitive, but I know the one who's moving the business from Seattle to here is like sticker shocked, and you know, Seattle probably has some of the highest rents out there.
Is that business one that might be able to function in just a part of one of the buildings? If it was something where we did purchase the building, they could be part of it, plus there's.
Yeah,
others.
she's looking at potentially partnering with someone down the road. The space is perfect for her size wise. But it's just, that's how much things have changed since honestly COVID, because I think we had some data when we did those. The town rolled out the $7,500 grants. We collected some data about the brick and mortars.
With the rents and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't recall
Expensive.
any of them being that high. And in some cases, we didn't really go into granular detail. We were intentionally making that a very streamlined process because our businesses were cash poor at the time coming out of winter. And we were trying to move quickly, both because PPE loans were like way out there still. So that was a 1 to 2 page application to get that through. But I started thinking about that program when we rolled out those grants. We followed, I think it was Westfield was the community around Indy doing them. And we vetted that with Barnes and Thornburg and also Baker Tilly before we did it. And that was acceptable to do a grant versus say a microloan or a similar program.
Wasn't part of the Ready funds.
That's what I was gonna ask about. Where are we at with Ready?
Yeah, I believe
application?
Marty said that,
Yeah.
or maybe you said
Ready 2.0
it's gonna have some brick and mortar,
coming up.
so maybe that.
Yeah, they may have, the main focus for Ready this year, or well, at least this round is housing. So I believe, 60% minimum is required for your region to be put into housing. So a lot of housing projects are obviously gonna see those funds, but.
We did discuss with Sean 2 days ago, and I say we as if I'm royal plural here, but I did have a conversation about a Main Street program for Marshall County. And there is interest in that, to the effect that each Main Street is unique in its challenges and needs within Marshall County, but we all have that need for a Main Street development. That means different things in Bremen than it does here, but it still means something to them.
Yeah.
So.
We're currently
Go ahead.
surveying the other main streets and redevelopment commissions to see what their main street projects are in the hopes that maybe we could aggregate something.
Well, as of the visitor center meeting this past Monday, we brought up Develop Culver, which was a component of Main Street organization. And that needs revived in a sense. One of the participants at the meeting would really like to see that and get more Main Street people, owners on Develop Culver
Right.
to move that forward instead
Right.
of, it's kind of stagnant right now.
Yeah, I think and I wanted to respond to Jenny's thoughts, because I love the thinking. I think we've got a real interesting opportunity, because Kevin and I did sit down with the Main Street business owners, several of them, a couple of weeks ago. And that's what occurred to me, Karen, is that we need their direct line of sight, right, to the CRC, to the town council. And right now there isn't one, particularly because the chamber is essentially defunct. And I spoke to Tracy Fox about that, who leads Develop Culver, as you know, and Tracy's wide open to that idea. She would love to see Main Street be more inclusive, that organization be more inclusive. And so the question is how best to do that. I think there's two things. We've got an opportunity to try to figure this out. But I think one of the things we should consider is starting with, see if we can get a shared vision for it. We've got limited resources for the CRC. We've got a comprehensive plan, which is going to be considered by the town council. And with the approval of the comp plan, now we can see what our limited spending, what are we gonna do with it, right? Our limited resources. And how does that spend fit in with what the comp plan says and what the vision for Main Street is? So I guess that's a really long-winded way of saying, I just would like to try to be intentional about it rather than, oh, this is a good idea, let's put some money toward it. I don't want to over-engineer it, but I don't think we're that far away from being able to accomplish several goals at one time.
Well, and I think the current membership of Develop Culver needs to have a meeting and potentially members resign from that meeting so that other people can become the board of Develop Culver. If that's the route, I mean, it's already got its 503, it's already been under Main Street. And there's people in it there that were still here when we had the Main Street organizations come around from other towns, and to rejuvenate that, because there's a wealth of information just in that network of people.
Yeah, I like the idea of a comprehensive approach, because part of that would be regional. Part of that would be programming, if you're a new business owner and you want to look to the resources in the town, where do you go to find, what's available to me? Well, we know there's a facade grant available. Maybe eventually that looks like a list of whatever, and part of it could be, there's availability beyond the individual community. You've got MCEDC's microloan. There could be a regional program play through Ready, depending on if they fund that type of thing. I think it's smart to team with Plymouth and Bremen are the only two in the county that have Main Street organizations like us. I'm sure Bourbon and Argus would jump on board and create their own if we got something going regionally, or we even look beyond the county and team up with some of the Main Street organizations up in South Bend and Elkhart area. But it could be a comprehensive approach of, we're gonna have these sets of programs if you're expanding a business, if you're starting a new business, and here are the resources beyond us in the region. Tap them all to whatever degree you can.
Yeah. Not being a part of I'll be careful here for my participation, but I think resources need to be regional, but targets need to be local. It has to be nuanced to work here, and everybody sitting at this table knows that. My question becomes, I think there's been a clear, listening to the comprehensive plan and spending a little bit of time listening to everybody. The number one key goal should be, how do we create full-time residency in Culver? And we're touching that with the dunes and the housing. And I think our business program needs to mirror that, or the economic Main Street needs to incentivize people to want to stay here, live here and be part of it. And I think overlapping those two, the housing takes care of one, but you got to have that Main Street presence.
Where are we at with like a business hub and Ready? That application been submitted as a,
No, I don't think we've had any traction on it at the regional level. Plymouth had some interest in it, but even Plymouth, I don't think is submitting on that.
because that should be this next month, right? That they decide what
Yeah,
that is.
end of June,
Is it end of June?
so.
It's for,
That-
that's for Ready. The E-Hub though was a regional cities project, I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, it wasn't ready.
And they took the original 400,000 allocated to Culver ended up going in one of those. What do they call those buildings, Marty? Build it and they will come.
Yeah,
Yeah, spec building there.
Yes, that.
Yeah, but I think it's rolling out of there. The thing is it's
they should be
still,
rolling out of it though.
Yeah,
it's still just 20%, right? We still gotta come up with 80% for the E.
yeah,
And right now, we've got no business plan, no design, no really thoughtful, plan for it yet, so even if they say, hey, the money's ready for you guys, I don't know that we're ready for the money.
yeah. And they sold that building and they pulled that 400,000 back. And then Plymouth talked about doing an E-Hub, but I think they got off of that when Okra didn't approve it for the Stellar plan because it didn't quite fit the model of what they were looking for Stellar. So they came up with, I think Plymouth has like 15 different Ready project ideas on the books right now. I don't know which ones they'll necessarily pair with others in the region, but if we tried to do a project here, we'd have to pair it with something else going on in the region. So even like CYC, we can apply for Ready dollars.
It's
for
been
the
applied.
building.
It's been applied.
But
It should be there in the,
it'll have to get tied to something else when they go to present it downstate. At least that's what the RDA is telling us.
tied
There's
to another project, you mean, or tied to?
other projects like it that may involve.
But I think
setting-
that's
Childcare,
an easy tie. I mean, I think,
workforce development, I mean,
I
it's
think I
tied.
could tie it to something going on at Plymouth because they'll have something involved.
there's a lot of boxes that you check off on that, I would imagine.
Yeah, they may even tie it to something up in South Bend Elkhart region.
Does this have to be tied to one other or?
No, it's more like so the RDA wants to give more of a comprehensive approach, the same kind of approach. We're solving housing, we're solving childcare, we're solving, and it has to meet a number of metrics. So they don't want us individually applying, like Culver just says, oh, we have a great project, take it. If it doesn't fit within So even housing, you know, if we were doing another housing project and we did a Ready 1.0, we would be teaming with whoever else is doing housing in our region. So it's, you know, instead of the 200 units we applied for in Ready 1.0, this time around, let's say the whole region is going to produce 2,000 units and X number coming from South Bend and X number coming from Marshall County.
But if every town wanted to do Main Street development, that would be
Yeah.
a comprehensive theme that would go
Yeah.
downstairs.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
And I think they're gonna come out with a programmatic part of this. Because how do you do private investment in a program like what we're talking about? So, but that's a requirement of Ready, you know, 80% of it is the local, 20% is your local match, 60% is private investment. Well, who's privately gonna invest in, say, a facade program for everyone in the region or? So that's what it's.
It takes a little bit of knocking and asking. The answer can only be no, so. And I'm willing to ask that question. So,
Yeah, I think there was a good example today, actually. We did the ribbon cuttings for the Riverside Commons apartment and complexes. There were 8 units in La Paz and 48 units in Plymouth. And neither of those would, and they were associated with Stellar, right? But the IHCDA, which is it's tax credit financing that's used for that, they have an approval rate of like 1 out of every 3. And the guy said today, Alan Rakowski said today that by themselves, neither of those would have been approved. But in putting those two together, it made sense for the IHCDA to approve it. And that's a kind of a good example of why, you know, the CYC finding a partner makes it an easier yes, you know, for the decision makers.
So is that something CYC needs to do, or is it done once all the applications are, and then they make the connection?
Well, it's kind of both, right? So the way I understand it, and Ginny probably has it better, but there's a June deadline and a July decision. And what happens between June and July is the RDA is going to review what they've got and see what fits together. That's part of the work that they'll be doing.
So do I need to reach out?
So it doesn't need to be submitted together. They're gonna automatically.
It's already been submitted. I
Yeah, so this
if
she need to check. If other-
I would maybe not, I would give them a ring and say, hey, I'm interested if there's something that this can be paired with. Could you please let me know?
To my
Yeah, you can
knowledge,
have that discussion with Bethany today.
starting point for that, but what'll happen is like last time around, they had 3 or 4 hospital systems apply for projects. So they basically said, these are all great projects, go back, collaborate, work together and submit this as one. So that's what, the same thing would happen if they had 3 projects that involve childcare or a daycare component, which Ready would love to see at the state level. They'll go, Shaman, take this back to your group, work with XYZ already in the region doing similar projects. You know, we're a nonprofit at CYC, but there could be private or nonprofit doing a daycare component to their project. So they'll want to see those groups get back together and go, all right, we're going to submit this under one thing. And the theme of it is childcare. And we're going to bring childcare to X number of kids in the region by having this set of projects.
Gotcha. So you won't know anything until after the applications are all
Here's
reviewed.
that. June and July is setting up the RDA to be successful with the state when they take their package downstate and say, here's what we'd like to do.
Are they still planning on rolling Ready out over time still? And does that change the game a little bit for,
Yeah, provided the money doesn't get all awarded, right?
well, that's, yeah, right.
'Cause
Oh,
when
we
is
just
the
had a
award-
few.
When is the award bet?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, they could say that, but you know that money's gonna go fast. I mean, yeah. That's a good point.
Well, and, you know, we've had people talk to us about the movie theater countless times in the last year, 2 years.
Maybe a little sooner than that, or. But yeah.
development or arts development, then
Yeah.
that would fit.
They would probably easily qualify for the Lilly dollars that are supplementing the spread stuff. But,
But that deadline's June 15th.
The Lily's already done.
so.
It's hot and they didn't define, well, anyway, moving on.
Rich,
Just on the Lily and the theater grant, as you know, and Karen knows, as we did the comprehensive plan, there was a subgroup working on the arts. And I
That was
thought
Marty.
the next phase of that was going to be to get that group together to then go forward with some of those projects. And so if there's still an opportunity, I mean, there may be enough time, since the comprehensive plan was passed, the planning commission, and I think, will, is the town council tonight.
Yeah, the comp plan will, but,
But I mean,
oh, no, it's not on the
It's
agenda.
not on the agenda tonight. We pulled it off because we didn't think Jenny was gonna be here and we wanted to make sure that the full.
It was previous, I have, you were there.
You could never pursue that.
48 hours, put it back.
Until it's out at. It's still.
But then I took it off. Then you gotta put it back on.
Yeah,
I'm just suggesting that
You
there's
can
a.
change your agenda, then-
Leadership on the issue.
Yeah, what I'm hoping to do, Rich, is, and I have been in contact with that group,
Yes.
and they're willing to get together and work somewhere. There's a couple of projects that are moving down the line, for the Lilly money out of Plymouth. One is the Heartland Artist Gallery, and that space, to redo the old Montgomery Ward's catalog building. And, let me see, the other one, geez, I'm drawing a blank for a second here.
It's a ward.
it's not the Poppets. Street.
No, it's out of,
It's the Wild Rose Moon, right? The Wild
Yeah.
Rose Moon has got one going in for, to take the radio hour syndicated nationally, which I think is an amazingly cool sounding project. To have a national radio show emanating out of Plymouth. What I'm hoping we can do is what I'm hoping we can do is jump in the wake of those, and maybe we got a project that can line up that we can attach to those.
So it's a wait and see really at this point to see what other themes come out of it.
Yeah, and if we don't hit these June, July deadlines, I think it's not gonna matter until round 3 of ready, because I think South Bend Elkhart is expecting to receive like 100+ million in projects for the 45 million that they're getting. So,
So does anyone have current access to what has been applied for? In the no one,
the only
who's
one
it going
would
to?
be like Tara
Mhm.
McFarland. And maybe that RDA committee, which John Sal is on that. And who else is on
Because it would be nice to know if there was like 10 other e-hub themes and we heard, hurry up and create one.
yeah.
But I mean, if we have. You gotta see my room,
you have anything?
never done. I've spoken, school's out, no more kids till August.
You got one of the best defensive coordinators in the state, I've heard, joined your staff. I mean, just that's something to talk about, but you know,
Turn Marcellus down, because we could hire that one.
kind of a big deal, but. All right.
Do you have anything awarded?
And stick around, check our 6:30 show out, kids. It's a fantastic time.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? In favor?
that.
Aye.
All
Good.
See you, everybody.
See you,
Oh,
Marty.
and I too, of course.
Talk to him.
Hold it up.